Welcome everybody to another session of Create Your New Life Business Meeting and Coaching. I am your host, Michael G. Davis, broker, CEO of Brooks & Davis. And as you can see, I am excited about being here in 2020. Look, if 2020 is going to be anything like 2019, baby, I cannot wait to see what happens. So welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So as you all know, every week we get together. I've been out of this thing for about a couple of weeks because of the holidays. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, now it's time to get back to work. So thank you for checking us out, whether you're looking at us on our YouTube channel or somebody emailed it to you, or however you come across our path. We want to say thank you for tuning in. Again, this is something that we do once a week. It's our company meeting and coaching with Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. We're always looking to bring on talented individuals that are wanting to be a part of our organization. We're looking for individuals that may feel like, you know, they wish they had more engagement and interaction with their broker, i.e. coaching, one-on-one. We are the place. We'd love for you to schedule a sit down with us so we can talk about that. And I'm going to show you some opportunities of how you can connect with us as we move along, right? I think we got a great show for today. We're going to be, looking at a property that we have for in a phenomenal master plan community. We're going to be doing that, continuing our series with the book Shift by Gary Keller. And today we're going to be talking about managing and overcoming barriers when buyers get cold feet. We're going to be talking about urgency. We're going to be talking about buyer reluctance and how to overcome that. Remember, Gary has these 12 tactics, and we're just going down those tactics. Also, we're going to look at a software that we utilize to assist our agents to get to to understand the mechanics of real estate. So we're going to show you guys that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. No time to waste. As we go. All right. So as we go, there's a way that you can connect with us, multiple ways actually. One of them, we definitely encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube page, like us on Facebook, and LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter, learn. We put out content multiple times a week, and it's a variety of content. So, whether you connected on YouTube or LinkedIn and Facebook, you're going to get different content on all of those mediums. So I highly encourage you to get connected with us on all of our social media platforms. Definitely encourage you to do that. If you are an agent, one of the things that we love to share is there's an opportunity. If there's anything that you hear from today that I talk about, and you want that kind of information, you want access to that kind of knowledge and that knowledge base, please schedule an appointment, a sit down. It can either be online or it can be in person, and we can talk about what your needs are when it comes to this business and how to best satisfy them, and show you how we'll walk right along with you to helping you achieve that. So there's the link, real easy to get to. Click on it, schedule an appointment slot, whether online or in person, and we will definitely knock that out. Now, one thing that we do have a providership. We offer 1 hour of CE credit. So for our agents that log on to the live session of our Create Your New Life, they are able to get an hour of CE credit. So again, if you're out there, your broker's not offering CE credit opportunities, they're not offering coaching, I think it will be great for you to click on that scheduling link, go to that scheduling link, and at least have a conversation with someone about your future in real estate. All right, we would love to have that conversation with you as soon as possible, as soon as you're ready. We'll say it like that. All right, I've already kind of went through what we're going to be talking about today. Our title is The Best Ways to Overcome Buyer Reluctance When Times Are Tough. So we're really going to be spending our time looking at how to best serve buyers when their mindset is moving them away from what they're ultimately trying to accomplish, which is buy a new home. We're going to help them with that. We're going to step in as their experts and offer a level of skill to them, and we're going to be talking about that stuff today. Now, the quote that we're going to be coming from today is from someone that really everybody knows who this person is. It's the Albert Einstein, considered the smartest man ever. And the quote, it says, logic will get you from A to B, imagination will get you everywhere else, right? I'll say that again. Logic will get you from A to B. Logic, analysis, your brain in your head will get you from A to B, but imagination will get you everywhere else. It's the romanticizing of understanding. A lot of times we got to get out our head. And look, that's to the buyer clients, and that's to us as professionals as we look to build our business. A lot of times we're not using enough creativity. We're not using enough imagination. We're not dreaming, right? We're not using enough vision, those intangible items that are inside of all of us that we forget about, that we become unaware, we become numb to, because how we're being socialized and how the society tells us we need to think, right? So that's that logic getting you from A to B. But from where we are in this business, you don't want to go just from A to B. What about all the stuff that's in between, right? All the other letters. Imagination is what gets you there. So tap into your vision, tap into your imagination to help you move to that next level in whatever you do. All right. Every week during our time, we spend 60 minutes on our core ideology, call it a moment in the core. So our core ideology is made up of a big, hairy, audacious goal, which is what we talked about last week, a big goal of what we're looking to achieve as an organization. It's also made up of our purpose, of who we are and why we do what we do in this business as an organization, and 5 values, which is who we are when it comes to this business. So today we're going to look at one of our values, right? The value that we're going to take a look at today has to do with learning and improving and operating in the most productive manner, right? And as I take my 60 seconds to really dwell upon this, Tony Robbins says it this way: if you're not growing, then you're dying. Like, there's no such thing as plateau. There's no such thing as not moving or being stagnant, right? You're either going one or two directions. You're either going up towards life, you're getting better, you're growing, you're satisfying that human need of growth, or you're dying, right? So we have to position ourselves as professionals to continually learn, right? Continually improve every day in all that we're doing, and ensure that we're operating as efficient as possible. That's one of the things that I'm doing right now with this season of coaching, is really delving in to the psychological aspects of what may be holding people back from achieving their goals. And a lot of it has to do with, and the idea is making sure to operate or making sure, as I coach my agents, that when they set their goal and as they begin to achieve their goal, they're going after it in the most effective way, right? So that's all that this is about. Making sure that in all things that you do, that you're operating in your most effective manner to get you to where you're trying to get to in the fastest and the most effective way possible, right? So that is one of our 5 values here at Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. All right, so now as we move out of our moment in core and move into how we performed as an organization over these last couple of weeks. So, one of the things that I was saying as we were ending out the year was that we got to get, it used to be the top 5 producing agents, but we had got to a point to where we only had 2 people on board. Well, great news. We added another agent. Another agent got something in the contract. So we definitely want to congratulate, Margaret Harrison for maintaining that #1 spot. Look, the producing agent, the top producing agent, it has nothing to do with how many transactions that they've closed. It has to do with how many you have under contract, which it forces you to continually putting properties and putting buyers in escrow. That's the whole point of it. So one of the things that you can see with Margaret is that level of consistency and that level of certainty as she continues to refill her coffers as she closes them out. That's what we're talking about when we talk about having a level of stability in how you operate your business. So congratulations to Margaret. We do have 2 new faces. Ms. Mashana Green and Jeff Lewis are on the board as well, rounding out 2 and 3. So congratulations to you all for your performance. Now, we have brought in, since the last time we met, we brought in a number of agents and affiliates, and we're excited about welcoming them to the team. So they're actually a team, the 5-star team that we signed up over the holidays, and we 100% want to welcome them to the family, right? So Ms. Shawan Gardner, Ms. Charity, Charity, I apologize. I'm losing her last name right now, but Charity, Ms. Quinn Goodlow, and Ms. Michelle Randolph are affiliates. And Shawan, Charity, and then Treasure, we brought her on last week. And I want to say I gave her a shout out already on a Create Your New Life, but I may have not. So if I haven't, I want to shout out Treasure Shepherd as well. All of these young ladies are part of the 5-star team, which is led by Ms. LaKendra Kaufman. She's the team agent, the lead agent of the team, and we're excited. Well, we are just balling ecstatic to have absolutely our very first team come on board, and we're going to help get them to greatness. So welcome, ladies. We're excited for you. We're excited for what is in store for you through your partnership and relationship with Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. All right, so with that being said, we're going to take a look at a listing, right? One of our agents' listings. It's in the Humble area. We call this our property showcase. So we're going to showcase it. Let's see. We're going to, I already pulled it up. So there we go. All right, property showcase is the property we have in Humble. So Mashana, we just, showed her, was one of our top producing agents. She was on the list for this week. But look, she's still working, right? So she picked up a listing. She's gotten it on the market. They're only asking $259,000. It's in the great master plan community of the great master plan community of Canyon Gate at Park Lakes. Okay, that's what it was. So Canyon Gate is a humongous master plan community out in the Humble area. This is where this home is located. The great thing about master plan communities is that there's a lot of amenities in most instances that people are able to take advantage of, right? I mean, you have splash pad. I know this particular one has a splash pad. It has a guarded entry. It also has recreational courts. So, there's a lot of people that will gain a lot of value from operating within a master plan community. That's definitely something that I believe that is of extreme value to buyers. So here's one for you, right? Again, it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, right? It's a little under 3,000 square feet. And what I found recently is that the large 3-bedroom, because see what a lot of people will do is that they'll squeeze another bedroom in there. And what I found is that the market is tending to lean towards more spacious homes, less bedrooms, more space, right? You'd have taken that space and distributing it over other areas of the property, maybe some of the living areas, but in the bedrooms, hallways, just to offer more space to those that are out there looking to purchase homes. So this is one of those large, 3-bedroom homes. It's a 1-story. That's another trend that we're seeing. Large ranch-style homes are coming back. Those tend to be more expensive because of foundation, right? You have more concrete that you're using to have a larger foundation to be able to get 3,000 square feet on a lot versus stacking it on top of each other is what you can do on a 2-story, all right? The lot size is 7,600 square feet. So, a standard lot is about 5,000 square feet. So it's a little, almost double. Almost, 1.5 of a standard lot. So it's an oversized lot, which is something great as well. So look, if you have a buyer or if you are a buyer looking to be in the Humble area, you're familiar with Canyon Gate at Park Lakes, and you're interested in finding out more information about the about this master plan community with the guarded gate and the splash pad and the recreational facilities out there, please feel free to reach out to us, get additional information, and we'll get you connected to Ms. Shannon so she can help you out. All right? All right, awesome. Now, before we get into our training, we also want to showcase one of our proprietary programs that are available to all of our agents, right? It's something that we do once a week. We like to highlight. We have a multitude of programs that we offer to our agents. And every week during our Create Your New Life, we like to showcase one of those programs, right? Again, we're proud of the effort, the time, the energy, the creativity, the imagination that we put into designing tools and resources to help our agents achieve the results and success that they want, right? So every week we like to highlight one of them. Now, again, this is one that was voted the number one tool that we had to offer, right? And this is the one that we're going to be showcasing right now, all right? This one is, this is called our Success in Real Estate Machine, right? And through the Success in Real Estate Machine, it really assists with a better and deeper understanding of the mechanics of doing this business. Right? So here we go. Success in Real Estate Machine is the classes. It's in a class format. It's brought to you by the Brooks and Davis Continuing Education Institute, which is our providership, our educational arm of Brooks and Davis. I love teaching, so it's that arm. What I'm going to do is preview it so you all can get a glimpse of what it looks like, right? So now, it's all built around our Realtor Success Funnel, which is again something that we're going to show that, and we're going to show that later on as well, because from a mechanic standpoint, everything that we do has to do with the Realtor Success Funnel, right? From a mechanic standpoint. But one of the things that we want to do, I was trying to see if I had a picture. There it is. All right. So everything that we do is built around this module, right? It's 6 key skill sets, 6 areas. Every element means something, and all of our coaching and training is built around this business model. I would call it that. Well, this proprietary program, what it does is it takes this business model and then it layers content on top of it. So everything that you see in the table of contents over here is in essence that business model with content layered on top of it, right? So for instance, in the introduction, well, the introduction is in essence talking about this blue square, right? And the blue square represents the foundation, what you're going to have to lay your business on top of mechanically, making sure that you have the right tools and the resources and the right mindset as you move into beginning to build it. Well, that's the type of content that you get when you go to introduction, right? So if you click on introduction, which has 11 elements in it, and each one of those elements is going to have something to do with that part of the module, the success funnel. So now, just like the introduction has elements, all 6 skill sets and 6 areas have elements as well. So as you can see, as I scroll through it, each skill set that we teach is backed up with videos, backed up with slides, backed up with checklists, right? In essence, it's an area that all of our agents can go to. See, videos, multiple videos. We have resources that can be downloaded of actual examples that we've utilized as an organization. So all of that can be accessed, and the goal was to make it user-friendly, right? So this is the tool, this is the resource that as I'm coaching on mechanics, the mechanics of building business and understanding the different elements of a real estate transaction, this is the tool that I use to help get agents and realtors, especially new agents and realtors, the access to the content needed so they can have a deeper understanding of it, right? So this is, again, this resource was voted the #1 resource by all of our agents in Brooks & Davis real estate firm. So that's awesome. All right, so now we got the business side of things out. Now at this point, it's all about the training, right? So we're going to jump into this training and continue our conversation around shifted markets. I think we only have like maybe 2 or 3 more sessions, and then we're going to be on to the next one. I've already decided which one that's going to be, and I'm excited about that one as well. So I'm not going to leak the information just yet. You got to be on the lookout. But we are going to do another series built around phenomenal content and information as a real estate professional that you can utilize to make you a better professional and more successful in this business, right? All right, so here we go. Just as like I said, today we're going to be talking about buyer reluctance, right? And of the 12 tactics that Gary Keller has put in play, the one that we're going to be talking about today is creating urgency, right? Overcoming buyer reluctance, and Gary calls that one tactic number 9, right? So today we're going to be dealing with tactic number 9. That's this one right here. Is the one that we're going to be dealing with today. All right. Now, so I said before we were going to be showing the Realtor Success Funnel, and again, we just want to make sure that we're able to connect where we are in the process. So as we're dealing with creating urgency and overcoming buyer reluctance, where we are on the success funnel is that we've already met with the client, so that's the consultation. They've become a client, and now we're in the process of getting them under contract, right? So in essence, that's skill set number 5. Skill set number 5 is working with the client and getting the client under contract as soon as possible, keeping them motivated to getting it done. So that's where we are as it relates to tactic number 9 in the eyes of Gary. We're at skill set number 5, getting the client contract. So now, as you see, as we're moving down the success funnel, the thing about it is that there's greater opportunity to lose the deal. That's what these gaps mean. So as you move down the funnel, you've invested time. The worst thing that can happen is that you lose the deal. If a buyer gets cold feet, a buyer changes their mind. You can't convince the buyer to buy a home, and they have too many options. So those are things we're going to be dealing with today. All right. So Gary starts it off. By talking about the irony of a buyer's market, that even though the opportunity to buy is high in a buyer's market, most buyers are reluctant, and the urgency is because they feel like they're going to overpay for the house, right? What that means is that they're in the wrong mindset. They're in the mindset of, if they make a decision now, they could have paid less later. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to time the market, right? They're trying to time the market. And the reason that Gary said it's ironic that they're trying to time the market is because in reality, in a buyer's market is when they should be buying, right? That's when inventory is high. That's when demand is low. That's when you have the best opportunity. Everything's leaning towards the benefit of the buyer. But yet and still, in the buyer's market is where, or in the seller's market, is where you find more activity and more urgency when it comes to the buyer. And the seller's market is where things are stacked for the seller. Well, why are they more urgent in a seller's market? Well, it's because it's that fear of loss, right? The buyer in a seller's market doesn't want to miss out on a deal. They don't want to miss out on the opportunity at all. They don't want to lose. So because they don't want to lose, they're more urgent as far as putting in offers, even though they may be higher, they're higher offers, like they're spending more money. They're getting less concessions in a seller's market, but yet still the buyer is more anxious in a seller's market, but yet in a buyer's market, they're more fearful. So in the seller's market, they're afraid of missing out. In a buyer's market, they're afraid of overpaying, right? So it's just that transfer of fear. And either one of them is, as a real estate professional, you got to be skilled enough to be able to handle it, right? So in reality, they should have been more afraid in the seller's market than they were in the buyer's market. But unfortunately, that's not the case, right? So Gary puts up these 3 graphs, right? And again, it's about, what did I say earlier? They're trying to time the market, right? So what these figures represent, they represent where the market is going. So like here, you see the market's going down, it's going down, it's going down, right? And what most people do is they don't make a decision. So they don't make a decision here because they feel like they could have spent less for it. So they don't make a decision here, they could have spent less. They don't make a decision here, they could have spent less. Make a decision here, they could have spent less. Well, guess what? They don't make a decision here. They've already created this pattern and this habit of not making a decision. They feel like they could pay less, but guess what? By the time they realize the market has shifted, they're probably here, right? Or they're probably here. So the point is that in most instances, by the time that they realize the market has shifted, there is no more opportunity for them, right? Is what Gary is saying. Either that, or by the time they realize the market has shifted, the bottom has already hit, right? So the market is now on its way back up, right? So in reality, they could have maybe purchased here or here, but now they're paying more than what they could have paid if they'd have just made a decision, all right? Well, now here's the reverse of that. Well, as the market's going up, market's going up. Now keep in mind, this little dot is just the point of realization. It doesn't represent that they've actually bought at that point. It's just when they've realized it. Well, by the time they realize that the market has shifted, well, guess what? It's going back up. So now you should buy, because you don't want to, you should be afraid of paying more later. This is now in a seller's market. Home prices are going up. Well, now you better hurry up and buy. But guess what? By the time they realize it, this is this last figure, market's going up, going up, going up. This may be for sellers right here. This is when you think the seller should have sold, right here, right? When the prices are going up. Well, by the time, because sellers do the same thing. They'll hold off. Well, by the time they realize the market has shifted, it's already shifted. So the point of the figures that Gary was trying to relay was that you can't time the market, right? People that buy at the top of the market, right? People that are able to time the market just right, that are able to, buyers that are able to time the market just right and buy at this point right here, right? Or that are able to, when selling a house, sell at this point right here. Or even buyers that may buy at this point right here. It has nothing to do with what skill they have or what skill they don't have. It's luck, right? Perfect timing is just they got lucky. So that's what it's about. And that's what Gary was trying to say. In essence, the reverse of that is that you want to buy in a safe zone. Like what he says is the smartest people usually don't go looking to buy at the top or the bottom. They understand the trends of the market. They can see where they go, and they buy in what's considered a safe zone, right? So what's considered a safe zone, as we revert back to our figures, that safe zone is as the market's trending down, that you buy right around here, right? That you recognize. I'm not saying you buy as soon as the market you buy as soon as it happens, because you don't know, but you understand how the trends move, and based on where the trends move, there we go, and based on where the trends are, you want to buy right around there. Right in that area right there. And if you're selling, you want to sell right around there, or even down here, right around here, right? That's the safe zone, right? Because again, you don't want to get caught realizing that the market's already shifted and now you're on the other side of it. You don't want to get caught in that tailspin. So that's what Gary calls the safe zone, right? And that's where you want to get it. And that's where you want to guide your buyers, since we're talking about buyers, that's where you want to guide your buyers to buy. When they get into that tailspin of, well, I can get a lower price later, you have to be skilled enough to get them to understand the concept of the safe zone and being able to time the market, and that it's just literally a level of luck. All right. So now, one of the things that Gary talks about is when talking about that urgency, in essence, what we're saying is how willing is the buyer to buy, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't really have a client. You're a realtor. You don't really have a client unless you have somebody that is ready, that is able to buy, that is ready to buy, and that is willing to buy. So urgency has nothing to do with able or readiness. It has everything to do with willingness, right? And those that are ready, willing, and able actually buy. Those are the people that buy. But the people that are able, ready, and waiting, now they may or they may not buy, right? So you got to make sure that when you first meet with these individuals, you want to gauge their level of willingness and their level of urgency. You know, one of the things that Gary talked about in previous episodes is that we can't motivate anybody to do nothing. They have to already be motivated. Well, that's what he's talking about here. The level of urgency, the buyer has to come with that willingness to you. You can't give that to them, right? But what you can do is you can measure it, you can gauge it, right? Gary calls it motivating, right? Offering them the information and the advice that's needed to help them make the best decisions for them, okay? Now, to get willing buyers to the closing table and into their new home, you will have to check in on them regularly. So what that means is that if you do get somebody that's ready, willing, and able, right? They're willing, you meet with them, you even get them under contract, well, you can't just leave it at that. You have to continually check in with them on a regular basis until they actually move in. You don't back off. You don't want to assume anything, because if you do that, if you take that buyer for granted, guess what could happen? Buyer's remorse. That's another thing that happens in a buyer's market or a tough market. When there's a lot of inventory, when the demand is not so much, there's a lot of supply, then a buyer will get under contract, right? But as people get in their head, as they start listening to friends, family, as they start seeing things on the media, then they can become reluctant and remorseful. And guess what that brings? That brings canceled contracts. So a canceled contract is just as bad as not being able to get the buyer to put an offer in or in the first place. So you want to alleviate both of those. And the way that you deal with canceled contracts is constantly checking in with them, making sure, gauging where they are, ultimately, again, you're not checking in with them to make any decisions for them. You're not checking in with them to try to make them do anything, to try to motivate them to move forward. That's not what you're doing. You're checking in with them to make sure that they have the best information, right? You are the expert. You're checking in to make sure that they have the best information to keep them on track of accomplishing their goal and their result, which is to purchase a home. That's what you're there to do. All right. So definitely don't take them for granted. All right. Now, as you're working with buyers, right, as we're talking about buyer ability and buyer readiness and willingness, at the end of the day, what we're saying is you're ultimately making a decision as a professional, as a realtor. Is this individual, is this buyer worth you investing your time, your money, and your effort when all those resources are already stretched? That's the question you're answering. And God forbid, as a realtor, in the client is always right environment that we live in, that as a professional, I say, just like you're going to influence someone to do business with you and convince someone to do business with you, you as a professional have the ability to decide if you're going to do business with somebody else or not. And that's where this comes in. Your time is just as important as a customer's time. Your money is just as important as a customer's money, right? Your effort is just as important as a customer's effort. It's not the customer's always right, right? Even though, for whatever reason, a lot of people tend to believe that. Customer's not always right, not in every circumstance, right? So, yes, you need to gauge the willingness of the buyer, the ability of the buyer, and you don't need to be ashamed or feel shame or guilt about that, right? If you don't control your business, if you don't control your time, somebody else will, especially in real estate. So, another figure, a couple of figures that Gary points out as he's talking about gauging this urgency. He talks about energizing the buyer urgency, and he gives 3 ways to energize it, right? The first way is to become the local economist of choice, right? What he's going to do is he's going to talk about, you know, these 3 areas, right? As you become the local economist of choice, you're the one that's you're the one that's going to give them the information. You don't want them to get the information or let others do the thinking for them, right? A lot of buyers, they're letting too many other people think for them. You know, these people may include family, they may include friends, it may be the media, but that they're getting half information. And the thing that they're missing is expert advice, right? And expert advice from the local economists, right? So that's what Gary is saying. This expert advice from this guy. It's not doing it. Oh, okay. So the expert advice. There we go. So the expert advice from this guy, the local economist. That's what's missing. And you have to fill that void. Buyers need professional advice, especially in a shift in tough times. They need it more than ever. And the challenge is that they don't realize it. So, and what happens is that we get discouraged. The professional gets discouraged. They get tired because the buyer isn't realizing how much they need the expert advice. So we get burnt out. They're too busy listening to their friends and their family and the media and looking at magazines and reading newspapers. They're too busy listening to people that are not experts. So that's why we say you got to become the local economist of choice. All right. Now, buyers bring their ability. They bring their readiness to buy. So what are they getting from others? Again, they're getting some knowledge, some instruction. They're not getting the whole story. And that's what clouds their thinking. And that's what you have to deal with as professionals to help guide them through it. In essence, what they're doing is they're stealing away the buyer's willingness. And this is where you come in and provide that valuable service of assisting with helping the buyer come back in so that willingness isn't stolen away. Because keep in mind, we're not talking about you making the buyer do anything. You're not trying to make them do anything. What you're doing is that the assumption that we're making is that anybody that you begin to work with is someone that's already said this is what they want to do. They want to buy a house. They want to do it. And we're going to talk about tapping into the why as well. So that's what you're here to do as the professional, to help them out. Right? You need to become the local real estate economist of choice. Now, a great idea that Gary gives in the book has as far as how to do that, how to present yourself as that local economist of choice, is to share the success stories of people who recently made the decision to buy and are very happy that they followed through with that decision. Right? So as you have your client list and as you're working with them, if you sold a house to one of your clients and they bought and they're glad that they stuck through it, that's information that you need to be sending out to your entire client list. So if somebody is getting into that reluctance as a buyer, well, what this will do is that this is going to give them reassurance that it's okay, right? A lot of times people just need to be reassured that the decision that they made is the right decision, that it's not the end of the world. So that offers that reassurance that it's okay to buy and shows them that, look, other people are doing it, right? That's what showing those success stories can do. It also shows that the market isn't dead. The market's not moving. It's not slow. It's not all those horrible things that the news says it is. I was having a conversation with my grandmother, and one of the comments that I made was, it was my grandmother and my aunts. We were having a family gathering, and I said, look, the world is not as bad as the news says it is. That was the comment that I made, because the reality is that media spins things. So it's not. Like, the world is not as bad. So showing these success stories allows reluctant buyers, or buyers that are moving towards reluctance, to see that it's not as bad as it is, and that, look, and that they're not alone. They're not alone out here doing it, man. People out here buying, right? And that, and it's also showing them that, look, they're people, and in addition to showing all of that, this is the biggest thing that is showing to them, that there are other people out there that are accepting your sound advice. It offers a layer of credibility to you. That's another thing that you have to constantly do, is you have to constantly reassure credibility in your advice to your client. Because again, they're going to be out there, they're going to be talking to all these people, all right? So now, the next thing that Gary talks about in those 3 ways to energize buyer urgency is help them tap into their why. You're assuming they're coming in already with the willingness, like you're not there to motivate them, right? So there's always some reason that people are doing something, right? Most people move, it's only a couple of things that they're moving for, right? They're moving because of a new job, maybe they got a new baby, a new marriage, maybe they're retiring, maybe they want to be closer to family or certain places, maybe their job, church, they're tired of commute, maybe they're getting a divorce, maybe somebody died, or maybe it's just a brighter vision of a new life somewhere else. But it's not a million reasons why somebody buys or sells a house. It's only a few. What you need to do is that you need to tap into which one it is. And then a lot of times you need to help them tap into it. Because when you're dealing with reluctance, a lot of times it's just redirecting them back to why they decided to do this in the first place. Making that bigger than the fear. Making that bigger than the buyer's remorse. It's you helping them realize why they're doing it. You know, one of the things that Gary did with, that he mentions in the book, one of the things that Gary mentions in the book, it says that he was talking to his client, and he, you know, what Gary is saying is that in essence, it's a matter of asking them about their needs and their wants. Right? So what he said was he drew a line down the middle of the piece of paper, and on one side he wrote an N for needs, and on the other side he wrote a W for wants. And then at that point, he allowed them to articulate to him what their needs were and what their wants were in the new home, right? Because guess what needs versus wants helps you with? It helps you really get an idea of their why, right? Because if they say they need good schools, right, then you know they're doing this for their child, for their children, right? If they say they need to be close to their job because the commute is preventing them from spending time with the wife, they're being in traffic for 2 hours, you ask them, well, what would you do if you were able to redeem those 2 hours? You know, just a couple of more questions is going to help you pull out that why that you're going to use, again, you're going to utilize to keep them on track if you're having to begin to deal with their reluctance, right? So I thought that was an excellent exercise, right, for you to do in your first meeting with your client, because it helps you tap into that level of reluctance. And then the last part is addressing the buyer reluctance. Right? That was the last thing that Gary had on the list as far as energizing. He says you want to address the reluctance, and you want to overcome it. So, you know, the next part, he talks about these 4 strategies on how to overcome it. And again, like we said before, when a buyer begins to get reluctant in moving forward with purchasing a home, it's just because they need somebody to reassure them that they're making the right decision. Right? So when you're dealing with their emotions, when you're dealing with their feelings, you got to be careful and you got to be skilled. Okay? So now, The 4 strategies that Gary talks about is, he talks about why wait, and he talks about the hazards of timing. We talked about that. You know, so when you're dealing with the buyer, and guess what? A lot of this stuff needs to be done in the beginning and reiterated when they begin to get reluctant. Like, it shouldn't be the first time that you're trying to present it to them, because then the buyer's going to feel like you're trying to make them do something that they don't want to do. But if all of this is included in your initial presentation with the buyer, letting them know, hey, as we go through this thing, you may become reluctant, you may get remorseful, you may want to change your mind. If you had that conversation when they're not in an emotionalized state, and then when you come back and reiterate and just say, hey, look, remember when I showed you the hazards of trying to time it? Remember when I showed you the opportunities that are within a down market, or when I showed you the importance of narrowing down the number of homes? Remember when I did all of those things? It's a lot easier. It'll go a lot better for you, right? So Gary says this is the time to put your skills to work, especially in a buyer's market. Says that a buyer's market is a skill-based market, and you're best served to practice your scripts. He talks about finding a coach, right? Engage in regular role-playing with a partner and get familiar with the proven best practices for helping your buyers make good decisions. This isn't a haphazard business. You have to become skilled. You have to practice. You have to create scripts. You have to practice them. You have to become comfortable with them. You need to get a coach that's not in the game with you, right? That's on the outside watching you perform and can give you insights on how to make adjustments. You need that, especially in the buyer's market. And you need to engage in regular role playing. That's what's going to help you get comfortable and continue to help you get familiar with the best practices as you learn new things. It's more than just learning new information. You need to learn it and apply it. And the best way to apply things is to practice it over and over and over again. This is the best time to do it. So the first thing that Gary addresses is the why wait, right? Says even a 10% drop in home prices is immediately nullified by a mere 1 percentage point increase in interest rates. So what does that mean? That means when I showed that graph before, even if the buyer is saying, I want to wait to buy at a lower price, if the interest rate goes up, then by 1%, then even if you're looking at a $200,000 house and that bad boy dropped by 20 grand, if you go from paying a 4% interest rate to a 5% interest rate because you waited, that entire $20,000 that you were looking to a benefit from is immediately erased. So now, and that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is what you're trying to achieve in the reduction of price is not only eliminated, but you end up paying more for the house because now your interest rate is higher than if you just took it at that higher price with the lower interest rate. So Gary shows that in these two scenarios. So, again, like I've always encouraged in these series, the best thing for you to do is to read the book. Get the book, right? But if you don't get the book, if you're one of our agents, then I have these show notes. And just so I can show you, I have these notes. These are the things that I'm reading from. Very detailed. See, that's 8 pages. Very detailed of just this one chapter. It's like your quick. Notes, right? So if you're one of our agents, you have access to that in the 7-Dot training. I encourage you to do it. And even there you can see and you can get the slides. But Gary has this diagram that would probably be good for you to utilize in explaining it to people, right? So he has scenario 1, scenario 2. Price decreased by 5%, interest rates increased by 0.5%, right? So now the home price $200, interest rate 6. Payment $1,199, home price goes down to $190, interest rate goes to 6.5, payment goes up. Ain't that crazy? Home price is down by 10%, so the price goes from $200 to $180, Interest rate goes from 6 to 7%. Payment stays the same. Ain't that crazy? So you have to be able to articulate that to your client so they understand, so they have the best advice. Constantly have to keep that in your mind. I'm here to give advice. I'm here to help them make the decision. That's what you're here to do, okay? Now, the next thing that he talks about is trading up, where he talks about that, the opportunity of a down market, and then less is more, right? So right here, these strategies that he's referring to, less is more, narrowing the field. Well, there's a book, matter of fact, I did a coaching tip last week that mentioned this guy here, Barry Schwartz. No, it wasn't a coaching tip. It was actually a post I shared on LinkedIn. That's why you need to follow me on LinkedIn. And I believe I posted it on our business Facebook page. So didn't post it on Instagram, didn't post it on the Twitter or any of these other places. So, but my point is that, no, it was LinkedIn and Twitter. That's what I did. Barry Switzer, I'm sorry, not the Oklahoma coach. Barry Schwartz, he was a psychologist and author of The Paradox of Choice. And what he talked about having too many choices, which is something that we refer to a lot in the industry as not a good thing, can be unproductive. But he says is not only can it be unproductive, but it can be counterproductive. What does that mean, Mike? What it means is that not only does it not work, having too many choices, and when I say not work, meaning not work to where it could help the buyer make a decision, it can be counterproductive and cause regret and cause worry and cause negative emotions, right? That's what he talks about in that book. So instead of helping a client go from 15 or 10 houses to 5, say 10 or 15, out of the 10 or 15 houses, 5 of them are great, all the rest of them are good, instead of helping guide the client eliminate those other good properties and focus on the 5 great properties, by not doing that, you could put them in a state of causing them pain and regret and all these negative emotions. Who wants to do that? Why would you want to do that? So the goal is to always get them to a handful of great choices. Narrow the field. Narrowing the field. Less is more. That's where you want to get the client to, because that betters the experience for them. And guess what? We talked about this earlier. When it comes to effectiveness, it allows you to become more effective in the time that you spend with them. There should never be more than 5 homes that are under consideration at any time, right? And that's not only my advice, that's Gary Keller's advice as well, right? So as I wrap this thing up, at the end of the day, building buyer urgency is about these things that we talked about. It's about expert knowledge of the market, right? You being the local economist of choice. Expert knowledge of the market, careful consultation on their personal wants and needs, right? You got to come to the table with that skill set of consulting them. If you're not, then you're doing them a disservice and you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not going to be able to realize what you want to realize in this business, right? It's also about being skilled at communicating the opportunities of the market and being assertive. I love that word. Being assertive in challenging their thinking. Because what I said earlier, they're coming at it with the wrong mindset. So they're coming into it with the wrong thinking. And that wrong thinking is being fueled by other external forces that you cannot control, but you need to challenge their thinking. Because what they need and what's detrimental that they need at this time is expert advice. What buyers need that are in a tough market and they are becoming reluctant, to help get them over the hump, they need expert advice so they can make the best decision. And you are the one to give it to them. All right? With that being said, That's all I have for you guys today. Next time, at our next session, we're going to be talking about opening up, we're going to be talking about how to open up options during a market shift for buyers and sellers, how to utilize creativity, hey, that imagination that I talked about earlier, how to utilize that with financing options, having creative financing options to help more buyers buy that may not be able to under traditional circumstances, and help more sellers sell because now they have a larger pool as they offer whatever creative financing option. They have a larger pool of people that they can sell their house to, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. I highly encourage you to chime on in. As we end it out, just a couple of reminders before we shut it down. We offer CE credit. Get your 1 hour of CE credit. If you're with a brokerage firm, they don't offer this kind of stuff. You know what? It just is an hour of your time. You get an hour of CE credit if you do these simple things. You want to meet with us. You probably want to meet with us. If you want to meet with us, this is the link. Click on it. Schedule an online or in-person company introduction, and I'll talk to you about all the things that we have to offer, and get an idea of what your needs are. Get an idea of what's important to you, and we'll make a determination of if it's a fit, because it may not be a fit. I understand, but what I'm extremely skilled at is helping consult you through your needs, your wants, so you can see if it isn't us, who will be the best fit for you. I definitely can do that for you. So that's well worth whatever 20, 30-minute conversation that we have. So I highly encourage you to schedule your appointment today. All right? And then the last thing is follow us. Get this content. We're sending this stuff out multiple times a week, and it's great information. Trust me. I highly encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to it. You'll get to see the one-on-one coaching for real, actual live examples of coaching. I Create Your New Life. They're on there, right? You get to see all of them. You'll get to see our ads. You'll get to see all kind of content. You'll get to see our property tours. You get to see all of that at our our YouTube page. And then we're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Our business is on Facebook. Again, additional content. I'm on Instagram. We're on Instagram. Instagram and Facebook, that's the personal side of things. You're able to see who I am, right? If you do decide to allow me to be your broker, well, you want to kind of know who I am as a person. Well, that allows you to do that through Instagram and through my Facebook, because that's where I expose myself on those mediums. And then LinkedIn is business. LinkedIn and Twitter is business. We're going to be giving business content, business insights. We're specific on how we utilize these social media vehicles. It's not just haphazardly being put together. All right? So with that being said, it's always a pleasure to do these sessions, offer this content, do this study. I feel like I have a lot to contribute to you, so I encourage you, take advantage of it. All right? With that being said, we're out of this piece. Until we meet again, let me get my music going so we can wrap this thing up for this January 7th. Let's see. I like to turn my music way up. No, we are out the door, right? We had another great session, dealt with buyer reluctance, looked at a phenomenal property in the Humble area, master plan community, if that's what you like. We looked at our Success in Real Estate Machine, #1 voted Brooks & Davis resource by our agents, right? And I encourage you guys to follow us on social media and get you that content. Happy New Year. I am your host, Michael G. Davis, CEO, broker, Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. This was Create Your New Life business meeting coaching session. Looking forward to coaching you into the cosmos. Time to take off, baby. Time to take off.